Everyone to our World Radio Day event. It is the day before World Radio Day being tomorrow. Uh, we're very excited to hear from everyone we have to speak with today. Uh, I'm Tara Sprigerhoff. I am the Communications Officer for Farm Radio International. But before we begin, I'd just like to do some housekeeping. So this event should be about an hour, and at the end of that, we have about 10 minutes during that hour for questions. You're welcome to submit any questions you might have for us or for our guests in the question and answer box that you should see at the bottom of your screen. We'll try to answer some during the event that you'll be able to see responses in the box, and we'll pose some others to our panelists at the end of the event. Additionally, as some of you have already found, there is a chat box that you are welcome to use to the right, though we do ask that if you have a question to submit, please use the question and answer box. The event is being recorded, so you'll be able to find it on both our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/farmradio, and eventually probably our YouTube channel and our website if you ever want to go back and to watch this. And finally, we do have about 100-person limit on this event itself. So if you have friends who are having difficulty joining, we're also broadcasting this event live to our Facebook page at facebook.com/farmradio, where you can also tune in there. So now we can get started. I'd really like to introduce Kevin Perkins, who is the Executive Director of Farm Radio International, to say a few words. So over to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Tara. Welcome to Farm Radio International's World Radio Day celebration. I'm so happy to welcome you today to this celebration of radio excellence ahead of World Radio Day tomorrow. This year is the 10th anniversary of World Radio Day, and we're celebrating radio's ability to involve, to innovate, to connect millions of people, bringing us closer together even in the most complicated of times. On this day, we're celebrating excellence in radio broadcasting in Africa with our awards. The winners and runners-up for the George Atkins Communications Award and the Liz Hughes Award for her farm radio serve as excellent examples of how radio broadcasters and radio programs can serve their audiences and improve the lives of their listeners. Let me offer a very sincere thank you to everyone in this meeting with us. Lloyd Robertson and Nora Young, all of the radio stations, broadcasters that put their names forward for consideration, the winners who are with us now, extraordinary judges who helped us select the winners, last but certainly not least, our many financial supporters who make all of this possible, many of whom are among us today. This has been a challenging year for everyone. As a pandemic spread across Africa last spring, your support allowed us to quickly pivot our programming so that it could be safely conducted at a distance. We developed a series of resources filled with accurate and timely information, including frequently asked questions about COVID-19, radio spots delivered through our 1,003 radio station partners to millions of African farmers right across the continent. You helped us get critical information about COVID-19 to millions. As we are all reminded that in times of crisis, we all count on radio, what a critical role it plays. Your continued support would be much appreciated as we face a year ahead. There's a donation site, farmradio.org/donate, if you can continue support for us. Now, to announce our first award, I'd like to introduce Lloyd Robertson. Lloyd Robertson is one of Canada's most respected and decorated news anchors. He spent 35 years as chief anchor and senior editor of the CTV National News. He has been a spokesperson for Farm Radio International since the 1980s and was a friend of our founder and namesake of the first board, George Atkins. Lloyd?
Well, Kevin, thank you very, very much. I'm delighted to be here on this World Radio Day. I know it's actually tomorrow, but today we're celebrating, and we're celebrating our very special event. 50 years I have known George Atkins. 50 years ago, we began to work together, and the late George was a good friend of mine. We grew up in and near farming communities in Southern Ontario, and I always thought of George as a man of many, many talents. We used to talk about the problems of farmers and how things could get better for them, that kind of thing. And he had many interests. He was not just a farmer and a renowned farm broadcaster. I also regarded him as a scholar and an educator because he was absolutely determined to serve his audience the best way he knew how, with all the latest information, up-to-date things that were going on in the farm world. And he was known in our broader community as the man with the smile in his voice. He was gregarious, he was generous, he was a big man with a big heart, and he really wanted to give to others. That seemed to be the modus operandi of his life in many, many ways. And he tells the story, he told it to me many years ago, and I know that some of you have read about this, but I want to go through it just one more time because it is so much George. He was on a bus in Zambia at a Commonwealth Broadcasters Workshop, and he was squeezed into a small bus, broadcasters on either side of him from Africa, and he was talking to them with George, who of course talked a lot because he talked a lot. And he was asking them about what they were doing and how they were working together and that kind of thing. So they were telling him, well, we're trying to keep up. We're talking about fertilizers and pesticides and how to deal with tractors, that kind of thing. But they indicated that they wanted to be able to serve a larger community. And he said, well, look, let me see what I can do to help you out. Because, you'd be thinking about things like the use of oxen and how to use animal manure effectively, that kind of thing, to serve a broader audience, most of whom couldn't afford tractors. So George said, when I get back to Toronto, I will put together a program for you and I'll get scripts over here to you. So sure enough, he got back to Toronto. He put together a funding organization through a large agricultural implement manufacturer, and the Development Farm Countries Radio Network was born. And then shortly after that, he got me on board to help him with the fundraising for the organization, which I was very happy to do. So the Farm Radio Network was born in 1979. It began to serve 34 stations through 26 countries in Africa, and we know where it is now. So today, we're presenting the George Atkins Award. Now, this award was established in 1991 to recognize rural radio broadcasters for their outstanding commitment and contribution to food security and poverty reduction in low-income countries. And this is the 30th year of being able to give out this award. So it is now my great pleasure to announce this year's winners. Hassan Seydou Kayaba. Hassan is currently the assistant manager of ZA FM in Tabalaya, northern Ghana. He is also a farmer, and part of his inspiration in becoming a broadcaster was the opportunity to be a voice for farmers and provide them with the opportunity to be heard. Vianney Watsango, Radio Télévision Évangélique et de Développement Irma, DRC, Democratic Republic of the Congo. For Vianney, he is now editor-in-chief at Radio Télévision. A platform to tell their stories, to learn from experts, is the way he describes his relationship to his audience. He says being a broadcaster means being a voice for others. And Madalena Mekonema. Madalena has been a radio broadcaster for 5 years, working for 3 stations in various regions. She is currently a host and presenter at Radio Amane in Nakuru. Over the course of her career in her country, her skills have been recognized with 2 awards. She won the most impactful story at the Digi Radio Awards and was named Best Radio Presenter in the Great Rift Valley Gospel Music Awards a few years ago. So congratulations to all of our winners. And now we're going to hear from some of our award winners as they do their work.
Thanks, Lloyd. I'm going to share some words from our broadcasters.
Bonjour, madame, messieurs. Je suis Vianney Watsango, journaliste en RDC au Nord Kivu. À milieu rural, la radio joue un grand rôle car elle facilite une communication directe entre paysans. La radio est une voie ouverte et canal de passage des messages d'orientation, des méthodes appropriées pour une culture familiale.
My name is Alhaji Alasan Seydou Kayaba, the host of the Zara Radio Agri program and also the Assistant General Manager of Zara Radio. As I did mention, the program comes from 6:30 p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. every Sunday. It comes once every week and 4 times in a month. The Agri program is a program that seeks to educate farmers on modern agriculture, which has to do with farmers taking into best practices of farming, which includes storage and then also best way of planting their crops. We haven't stopped there. We have gone beyond that and we have penetrated to getting women into agriculture. We have met owners of land in our various communities to talk to them to give farmers fertile land to go into farming. All these that I was doing, I never thought that somebody somewhere will recognize what I'm doing and see the need to award such a program. And so I'm so delighted to hear that the program has been selected to receive an award by George Atkins Communication Award. I dedicate this award to the entirety of Zara Radio and also Farm Radio International for seeing the need to push this program to receive an award. I'm so happy and I'm grateful and I'm thankful to Allah, the Almighty, for the life that He has given us and also the help that He has given us and the wisdom that He has given us to go through all these years in educating farmers on the need to take into modern agriculture. I'm so grateful, and once more thanks to George Atkins Communications Award for selecting my agri program as one of the best programs in the world.
So thank you to those broadcasters, and I believe we have a special guest with us. So I'll go back to you, Lloyd.
Yes, well, it is my great pleasure to be able to talk for a few minutes to Madalena Mkarema. She is the broadcaster who is one of this year's award winners. Hello, Madalena. Are you on the line with us here? Yes, so there you are. Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so humbled and it's a privilege to win such an award.
I was fascinated to read about your story because you started off sort of the way I started off, you know, I did announcements over the public broadcast system in our school, in public school, at Shakespeare School in Stratford, Ontario, just over the speakers in students' rooms. And you started off in your high school. Tell us about that.
The journey has been great despite the challenges, but it all started actually at high school, whereby during the assemblies, you see every Friday and Mondays, we always had the usual assemblies of giving the feedbacks and any announcement. And I asked and I told my principal, she was a lady, and I told her, can you at least give me some like some few minutes to be giving out some news and in front of the crowd and in front of other students and teachers. And it was such a fair and a nice experience that gave me the confidence to stand in front of people and also improve in my public speaking skills, and also on the news part of it, whereby I learned the skills and also the courage to do what I love doing most. And it became a talent, a passion, and I'm proud of it until today.
I should have mentioned introducing you again, but of course you're in Kenya, and you move around a lot in Kenya. You service a couple of radio stations, don't you?
Yes, I've actually worked at 3 radio stations so far. I started at C4FM at Transworld Radio in Kenya, which is located at Voi. And then I also have worked at Radio Tumaini, which is also in Kenya at Taita Taveta County. And now I'm still working at Radio Amani in Nakuru, Kenya, All these are community radio stations, and the experience has been well, despite the challenges of working at rural areas. But so far, I'm proud of what I've gained. The experiences, the challenges have made me grow in my skills and in the journalistic skills.
So, how important do you judge these broadcasts of yours to the community? How do you see those broadcasts helping them?
From a personal or rather individual level, I can judge it that it has made an impact, because most of my programs, I deal with different issues affecting the social community, affecting the rural areas, especially the people living there, and their challenges, addressing their challenges, and also the solutions of how maybe they can make, or rather make an impact, a positive impact on whatever they are facing, the challenges and all that. And so far, even in my farm radio program, it's called Mkulima Shujaa, that is a Swahili, but it means a hero farmer. So I give them, I kind of give them the skills using, with the help of the experts, of course, who give them the information. Because after a pre-survey, I just noticed that actually a lot of people in the rural areas, they want to do agricultural activities, but they lack the skills, they lack the financial status of it, they lack different issues of which, when addressed, I believe every problem has a solution. And that's what actually inspired me to start this program. And so far so good, the feedback has been great. Like last year, we actually started a topic on poultry farming, and we got some positive feedbacks that some of the farmers some had started that project, but later on they gave up because of lack of skills and lack of relevant information they needed to continue with such projects. But also there are those who wanted to start this project of keeping poultry, but they didn't know how to start. How am I supposed to build the hen, maybe the place where to place the hen, what type of food do they need, and all that. So they actually, the tagline is that people lack skills and information in tackling such issues. That's why, that's actually what inspired me.
I know that parts of Africa have been hard hit by COVID too. So, how are those challenges being confronted by the farmers in the areas you broadcast to?
Or in Kenya, actually, it really hit us hard in terms of the social distance, washing hands and all that, and keeping in mind that in rural areas, in mostly the interior places where there's lack of water, lack of food, lack of important basic needs. So telling them, actually giving them the information, we actually did give them the information, wash your hands, sanitize and all that. But in real sense, on the ground, things are really tough, because I personally visited some of the farmers, and they're like, okay, am I supposed to find a water to wash my hands, and I can't even find water to drink? How am I supposed to do this? And I even can't satisfy myself, my basic needs and all that. So it has been actually a challenge, but we still gave them a message of hope, that despite everything, we can do something, we can give ourselves courage. And so far so good, God has been great, we're still alive.
You sound as though you are just having a great time doing your job. And
Yeah.
yes, I'll bet you are. Well,
Yeah.
Madalena, thank you so much for talking to us, and continued good luck with your wonderful work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madalena Mkarema from Kenya. Well, now it is my great pleasure to introduce a broadcast friend, Nora Young, to present our second award of the evening. Presenting these with Nora is the host and creator of Spark, CBC's national radio show and podcast about technology and culture. So take it away, Nora.
Thank you so much, Lloyd. It's a pleasure to be here with you and with everybody for World Radio Day Eve. I'm really excited about today and about the award. So we're going to move on to the second Farm Radio Award of the day, which is the third annual Liz Hughes Award for her farm radio. The Liz Hughes Award is given by Farm Radio International to recognize a radio program team dedicated to serving women listeners. The winning programs address gender equality and raise the voices of women. Among the 24 applicants this year, we heard broadcasters who do extraordinary work, some tackling the issues that women face every day, from raising children to finance to sex. Others address specific concerns related to women in agriculture, including land ownership or access to resources. And still others tackled tough topics like gender-based violence with sensitivity and care. Now, I sat on the judging committee along with judges from several countries and including 2 of last year's winners. It was a real pleasure to hear the work of talented colleagues, and I was very impressed by the submissions this year. In particular, the ability to share timely, relevant information using a variety of formats, all while keeping it accessible, participatory, and engaging, which of course are qualities that we all strive for as broadcasters. As you can imagine, the competition was tight, and we have, shall we say, a lively discussion during the judging process. The Liz Hughes Award for Her Farm Radio is named after a former board member. Liz Hughes was a reporter and broadcaster herself. She worked for many years at the CBC, supporting other broadcasters through her role as a senior manager. At Farm Radio and in everything she did, Liz was also a champion of gender equality. Liz died of cancer in 2018, but we're proud to honor her memory every year through this award. I'd like now to invite Doug Rushton to the screen to announce this year's winners. Doug is Liz's husband. He's a journalist himself and was also a member of this year's judging committee. Doug?
Thank you, Nora. As one of the judges, I have to say this wasn't easy. All of the entrants we listened to and read about were good, some very good. You all have a lot to be proud of. So then the winners, and here they are. There are 2 runners-up and 1 grand prize winner. The runners-up are Shisho, which is a great name, by the way, from Ahomka FM in Ghana. The second runner-up is Agriculture and Development from Radio Rural Local de Banicora in Benin. And the grand prize winner is Tupaganish Show from Radio Communautaire Salama in the DRC. Congratulations to everyone from every radio station. Finally, as I said, I was honored to be one of the judges. A better one would have been the woman for whom this award is named. Liz Hughes was not only a great journalist, leader, and mentor, she was an amazing mother and partner whose support for women and gender equality was always part of her life. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Doug. As before, we have some videos from some of our winners that we're happy to show.
Mesdames, Messieurs, bonjour. Ceci est une très belle occasion de remercier toute l'équipe de Radio Rurale International pour les efforts et les initiatives qu'elle met en œuvre dans le cadre d'appui aux radios et aux communautés rurales. Au nom des agents de la radio communautaire Salama, je remercie sincèrement Radio Rurale International pour ce prix qu'elle nous a décerné comme gagnant du prix Liz Hughes pour Radio Rurale au féminin 2021. C'est pour nous une fierté lorsque notre émission magazine, dont le titre est Tupiganiche, ait attiré l'attention du jury. Mesdames et messieurs, dans nos programmes, nous nous adressons de prime abord aux femmes ainsi qu'aux jeunes filles. Nos émissions donnent la parole aux oubliés de la presse. L'émission Tupiganiche est un véritable tremplin de l'expression féminine et de la promotion des droits de la femme. Indicative, elle fait intervenir des membres de la communauté, mais aussi des associations féminines. Nos programmes sont à près de 80% dédiés à la femme, et de ces 80%, 20% sont dédiés au contenu exclusif aux femmes rurales et paysannes. Mais en fonction du genre, les hommes ont aussi accès au contenu et constituent même des sources de formation et de partage d'expériences. Avec ce prix, le personnel de la radio communautaire Salama trouve ce travail bien coté et s'engage davantage à travailler dur en vue de l'avènement d'un monde plus égalitaire, un monde où la femme paysanne et la femme rurale soient respectées, s'expriment et deviennent plus autonomes. Qu'en vivent les communautés agricoles d'Afrique qui utilisent la radio, qu'en vive la radio communautaire Salama, je dis et je vous remercie.
Bonjour à toutes et à tous, heureux de vous voir, ou bien de vous parler ce matin. Je suis Serge Fanou, comme le constatez, de la radio rurale locale de Banikwara, un des lauréats du prix Elise 2021, un prix donc dédié à la femme rurale. Je suis très heureux donc de savoir que je suis parmi les lauréats et je remercie toute l'équipe du comité d'organisation. Je remercie la radio rurale internationale qui a voulu vraiment internaliser ce prix et aujourd'hui nous sommes parmi les Béninois qui aujourd'hui sont contents d'entendre qu'ils sont aujourd'hui parmi les lauréats, les finalistes. L'émission Agriculture et Développement fait partie de l'une des émissions de la radio rurale locale de Banikwara. Vous savez que nous sommes en milieu rural, agro-pastoral, où il faut toujours accompagner vraiment nos parents agriculteurs comme éleveurs. Donc, dans cette ligne, vous savez, la femme est vraiment marginalisée. Et vous savez, à travers cette émission, nous faisons comprendre à nos parents producteurs, vous savez que tout ce que porte ici, ça vient du coton. Nous faisons tout ce que vous voyez, ce que porte, c'est la main d'œuvre locale qui l'a fabriqué. C'est grâce à ça, c'est les femmes. Donc nous faisons comprendre à nos parents que l'homme et la femme peuvent s'accompagner. L'agriculture, on peut prospérer avec l'agriculture. C'est pourquoi l'émission c'est agriculture et développement. Pour dire, on peut faire le champ, le coton, le maïs. Donc, à travers cette émission, nous faisons comprendre à nos auditeurs, à nos parents paysans qu'aujourd'hui, on n'a pas besoin d'être riche ou d'avoir une grande capacité pour faire l'agriculture. Donc, on les amène à comprendre avec le peu qu'ils font, comment ils peuvent se développer, comment ils peuvent accroître leur chiffre d'affaires, comment ils peuvent également nourrir leur famille. Ils n'ont pas besoin d'aller faire des prêts dans des banques, c'est de savoir comment ils économisent le peu et pour se développer. Donc c'est pour montrer aux gens qu'avec l'agriculture, on peut développer la localité, on peut prospérer. C'est pourquoi l'émission est agriculture et développement. Je suis fier vraiment d'être heureux et que je suis alors ambassadeur aujourd'hui des femmes rurales du Bénin, du Banikwara en général. Et je dis qu'à travers ce prix, vous allez voir, si vraiment je rentre en possession de ce prix, je vais acquérir un nouvel matériel de travail au profit de ces femmes-là. Le prix porte le nom de celle dont le prix porte son nom aujourd'hui, Liz. Je crois que je suis devenu donc un de ses ambassadeurs et je tiens vraiment à garder ce flambeau pour vraiment faire changer ce monde-là.
Hi.
Thank you. So I'll pass the mic back to Nora, who has two guests from the third show that is one of this year's prize winners.
I do indeed. Thank you, Tara. It was great to see those videos and congratulations. I'm pleased to introduce our guests from the She Show, Nane Fao Beng. Nane Fa is the manager of Ahunka FM, and with him is Consuela Kabute Ongor. She's the host of the She Show, and they're joining us from Elmina, Ghana. Do we have you on the line? Hello, can you hear us? I am not hearing Nana Ifa.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you now. Hello, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So first of all, can you please tell us a little bit about the She Show and what it's all about? Suela, let's start with you.
Yeah, Suela is here with me. Suela.
Yes, we can hear you, Suela. Can you tell us a little bit about the show?
Thank you once again for the opportunity. I want to try to discuss what started this whole show. I was approached by the management of Untitled Chapter to try to come up with a program concerning women and children, like gender-related issues. And being so passionate about gender-related issues, I decided to partner with them so that we can come up with such a program that will be very, very impactful to the people in our society and the at large. So we decided to start this show, and it's something that we show on Ocean 1 TV and Ahunka FM on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. to to 7:30 p.m. It's a 1-hour program. Where we speak about issues concerning women and children. And we also make room for our men who we see as our stakeholders. So we also once in a while discuss issues concerning our men as well. With the She Show, someone will ask, what is the meaning of she? We came up with an abbreviation. The S meaning is very simple. We're looking at the simplicity of the program, where it's not going to be so rigid, but then we are going to have the discussions on essence length. So we looked at the simplicity of the show and we put down the S. The H looking at hilarious. And we want, like I said, a rigid program. So we wanted to make it as fun as possible. So it should be entertaining. So we have the issues discussed, yet we have fun. And then with the E, educate. So we pick up the topics and issues that we will learn something from at the end of the day. Something that we can apply to our day-to-day activities as we move on in life. So that is the meaning of the she that we are hearing today. Simplicity, hilarious, and educating. Now the impact, we have really impacted a lot of lives. Most of the time, right after the show, we do get a lot of people calling us to, talk about their issues, calling us to, find out what they can do concerning their issues at that very moment. And this led us to start a virtual counseling platform, which we call the Marikadi. It's a WhatsApp platform we created some years ago to accommodate people from all walks of life. This is where we have seasoned counselors who try to advise people on various issues. People who have issues concerning their relationship, marriages, education, whatever thing, for our counselors to help them with this. And because it's about women and children and somewhat our men, you're also concerned about the women and their children. That is what also led us to start up something we call the She Helping Hand, which is a foundation or an NGO we have set up to help women and their families who have children in the hospitals and yet are not able to really pay up their hospital bills. So it led us to this setting up of the She Foundation as well. We also have an annual conference, which also goes on every year. And last Saturday, we had one of its holding in our community.
Thank you for telling us about it, Suela. We're having a little bit of trouble with your audio. I'm going to just turn to Nana Ifa a little bit. Maybe we'll have a little bit more luck with the audio. One of the things that impressed me about the She Show was it's, as Suela was alluding to, it's very casual, it's very friendly, there's humor to it, even when the subjects being discussed are serious. Nana Ifa, why is that approach important, do you think? Nana Ifa, can you hear us? Having a little bit of trouble with our connection here.
Can you help? Hello?
Yes, there you are.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
hello?
We can.
Yes. Yeah, you were saying something, please. You asked a question.
Yes, my question is, we heard Suela talk about the values of fun, and one of the things that really defines the She Show is it's very casual. There's quite a lot of humor to it, even when the subjects discussed are serious or important. So why is that approach so important?
It is important because we realize that our target audience, the people we serve, are people who most often than not have gone through a lot of challenges. We have a lot of the women we are targeting who are already stressed up, and most of the things they hear act like a burden onto them. So we intended to make the show very flexible, such that it will be very approachable, it will be entertaining. They should always want to listen into the program and then also want to contribute. They shouldn't feel scared, they shouldn't be tensed up. They shouldn't be afraid to approach us even after the show. So that was a very important aspect we needed to include into the show and make sure that the show is not very rigid, it's not strict. It doesn't look like it's so much for the elites. It doesn't look like so much for the educated. We want the show to be very down to earth to everybody. Everybody should be able to approach the program in its own way.
Thank you. Consuelo, maybe let's see if we have a little more success with the audio. Your show addresses topics ranging from women's finances to their sex lives. Some of the topics seem a little controversial. What's behind the choices of the topics that you pick?
Day-to-day activities that we experience. Sometimes we sit back, we watch television, and something clicks. You realize there's a challenge somewhere. You realize some people are for the particular subject. Sometimes moving about in our workplaces. I mean, the day-to-day activities. It just draws our mind to let's tackle this. I think there's an issue here. Let's tackle this. I think this is very educating. Let's try to look at this. So let me say. The day-to-day lifestyle activities as we move about to go about our duties. Some of these things just get into the system. We just get inspired by some of the things that happen around us. And out of these things, we create the topics for discussion.
Just to add to it, we also have friends at the Social Welfare Department and DOFSU. That's the department at the police service that deals with violence-related issues, as in the house, in the homes of various people. So sometimes we talk to them, they give us hints of what issues of the sort. So we also tap into such issues and also discuss on air so that people at home can connect. And if those things are happening in their houses, they can be able to work around it.
We're just about out of time for the interview, but I just want to ask you quickly about one of the features of the show is a call-in, and I wondered if you could talk just briefly about what are the reactions like from the people who call into the show.
So, Consuela, reaction, and then I'll add it.
Okay, so normally when people call into the show, sometimes the voices that even respond, or the voices that even try to talk about the issues tells a lot. We realize that the people are down, so we share that probe. What actually is the issue? What actually is the problem? Interestingly, sometimes we're talking about something and call in will drag us around outside. And after the show, like you said, when they call in, they will tell us what they are going through, what they are facing in their various in their lives as well. So some of these reactions that we get from them, we follow up, we try to call back, we try to visit those closer to find out how real their issues are, and then we try to address them accordingly.
I also remember there was a time we were having the show and a caller, she dropped the call. So when success was then coming into the room while she was making a call. So she needed to drop the call so that she doesn't get bitten. So we realized that the lady in connection, or the lady we are talking about, hello, can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, yeah.
Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Hi, Nora. Okay, so we noticed that that particular woman had issues. The husband was beating her, among others. So we had to refer her to our counseling platform and assign a counselor to her after the show. So those are some of the services we also do after the show. It's a continual process. The only challenge we have now is that sometimes you're unable to get back to them, because sometimes when you call them again, they don't pick at all, they hang up, they don't just, so we are unable to do proper follow-up, which we are trying to initiate a system to do a proper follow-up to see if after the counseling we've had.
Well, it's a very impressive show. I was happy to be able to listen to it, grateful to be able to listen to it. Thank you both so much, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'd like to give you a chance to ask any questions you might have for our guest today. I'll pass the mic and the screen over to Tara, who'll be asking some of your questions from the Q&A. Tara, over to you.
Hi, thanks, Nora. It was really lovely to hear from all of the people that we've had as guests today. So thank you so much for joining us. I would invite anyone watching to submit your questions via the Q&A button that we kind of have at the bottom of the screen. You can submit a question there and we'll pose it live to some of our participants. So Madalena, perhaps even Lloyd and Nora. Our first question comes from Jeff LaRock, and actually this is a question for Kevin, our executive director. Jeff asks, he's curious as to what some of the farm radio program themes have focused on during the pandemic, and he's wondering if there's been a shift to health and COVID information, or if farm radio has remained focused on food security and health instead.
Thanks, Jeff, for the question. Nice to see you with us here. There certainly has been an expansion in the amount of coverage of health-related issues, nutrition and health, and other related issues, reproductive health as well. I would not call it a shift because we continue to do a lot of work with our partner broadcasters on food security and agriculture, but there's been an expansion to include the topics of health and nutrition in rural areas because you know, farmers are people and they need a full range of information services to help them improve their lives and improve their nutrition and health and so forth. So that's kind of where we're at now, and we see continuing to make health a big part of our work going forward.
Thanks, Kevin. Actually, while I have you on the screen, we do have a second question for you. So this question comes from Stella Musimwa. She asks, is there a chance to expand farm radio in Southern Africa, particularly to Zimbabwe? And also kind of expanding on that question, how do we determine where farm radio works and what are the different places or different ways that farm radio works with partners?
Thank you, Stella, for your question. We work with radio stations in all countries of sub-Saharan Africa. We add them to the network of radio stations that we can share resources with, radio scripts, training tools, and so forth. And we're trying increasingly to help radio stations network and collaborate in all those countries. In terms of a country where we would establish a stronger presence and do direct projects, we're really do that on the basis of opportunities where we're invited to work with other stakeholders on a specific project or different project, and then we begin to work in that country in a more intensive way. As you say, we've been quite involved in Malawi for a long time with our partner there, Farm Radio Trust, in other countries like Ethiopia, Burkina Faso, and others. In terms of where else we could work, it really depends on having a partnership with organizations in that country that invite us to work with them on specific campaigns.
Great, thanks, Kevin. Our next question, and I would encourage everyone to submit more questions, whether it's to the chat or to the question and answer box. Our next question comes from Eric Schneider, who is talking about family farm permaculture, as well as multi-cropping, food forests, things like that. So I'd actually put this question to both Madalena and Kevin. When it comes to simple farming techniques like multi-cropping or creating food forests, it seems that they haven't necessarily spread. So he's wondering what experience you have sharing these sorts of topics over radio, and what has really worked in encouraging farmers to take up these types of practices.
So basically from Kenya, while we represent Radio Man in Kenya, my experience, or rather our experience, is that, as I said earlier, lack of this information, these skills, there are a lot of new stuffs, or rather new information that farmers can use and make good deals out of it and also get some profits in the projects they undertake. But it seems on the ground, most farmers, they lack this knowledge. And from my program, I take that opportunity to give them the skills they need through the experts. I invite experts like those who have at least more information on this, some who have tackled more of such stuff of agriculture and all that. So at least through giving out the information, I believe most of them might even engage in such practicals, and they can actually make an impact to even others. So basically, experts helps a lot because information is power and people lack such information and skills. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin, did you want to add to that, or?
Well, just to say that that I think radio can play a very powerful role in helping farmers learn about the alternatives you've mentioned, permaculture, food forests, and so forth, and can really help farmers examine and explore uh, the options for themselves. We try to make sure that the radio programs are driven by the identified priorities of farmers. So when they express an interest in knowing more, then we try to focus on those areas. Risk farming is a risky business, as you know, and making decisions about changing your farming practices or changing the crops or how you grow or where you grow, all of those decisions carry risks with them, because if they don't work out, your family can go hungry. So we really try in the radio programs to respect that farmers have hard decisions to make and that they're working in a risky area of enterprise, and really support them in making the best decisions from themselves, learn from those decisions, learn from other farmers, and also have a chance to hear from researchers and experts that can advise them.
Great. Thanks, Kevin. I'll ask this question both to Nanafa and Madalena. So this question comes from Jean Christie. Jean Christie, sorry. How does the recognition of awards like this, the George Atkins Communications Award and the Liz Hughes Award for her farm radio, benefit your radio station and your programs? So I'll go first to Nanafa.
This award is beautiful. It's exciting. I don't know the best word to use for it. This is the first time we are being recognized for such an effort. We tried doing some gender-related programs earlier on, but after running it for a while and getting all the attacks and everything, we had nothing, and it was a little discouraging. So this award, I'm not joking with it at all. It's giving us the facelift. It's making us, first of all, it's an international award. It's not a very local award. So we have the bragging rights, and we're going to be we are proud, and we're going to make noise out of it. We know that it will also make us stand on top of the game when it comes to recognition. So now people would know that when it comes to gender-related issues, the best radio station to listen to for quality information is Apunka FM, and that alone is a plus to us. So we are not taking it lightly at all. There's going to be a big celebration in the office after this interview.
Wonderful, thank you. And Madalena, what does this award do for you and the stations that you work with?
Yeah, as my colleague says, of course, it's a big thing, and we are really humble and privileged that whatever we're doing, that at least it has an impact. And on our radio station, Radio Man in Nakuru, Kenya, it also helps us a lot in our listeners. They'll have even more trust on us, the information we give out, such that if it has been recognized internationally and all that, then it means we're really doing a good job. It's also so inspiring and motivational to ourselves as the presenters, and it keeps us on toes to do even more of these in the coming years. So it's actually so inspiring for us, and we're really happy. And of course, we hope to be doing this and every time and then, so that we win even more. So it's a plus to us. Thank you so much.
Wonderful, thank you. Our next question, actually back to Kevin. It's a question from Shuaib. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, Musa. And he asks, what is the coverage of Farm Radio International globally and in Nigeria? And then what are the major indicators that Farm Radio uses in measuring success? Yeah, what are the different indicators that Farm Radio uses to measure success?
Those are some good questions. Thank you. The coverage of Farm Radio International globally it's entirely concentrated in sub-Saharan Africa, and we have 1,003 radio stations that we work with across 42 countries, I believe now, and we've never done a proper tally of how many listeners they have, but my guess is at least 200 million listeners from those radio stations. In terms of Nigeria, we have broadcasting radio stations that are part of our network, and we also are now working closely with several of them on a project involving the Green Innovation Centers, helping Green Innovation Centers reach out and connect with farmers, and that's an exciting project that we're just moving into phase 2 of a great project in Nigeria. It's been very exciting to work in Nigeria. So much of the country is involved in farming, and they love radio, count on radio. So it's a perfect way to support Nigerian farming.
Thanks, Kevin. This is actually a question I'll put to both of our broadcasters because it's come from a couple of different people now. So Elizabeth Shaw would like to know what the typical number of listeners to the She Show is. And then we'll also put that to Madalena and add a bit to both of those questions. So if you can go from that, the She Show, how many listeners do you have?
So because the She Show is both on radio and on TV, we have listeners all over Ghana. You know, the television station is visible in about 7 regions. And then the radio station is listened to mainly in the central region. So we have audience all over. Minimum, averagely, we can say that we have close to about 2K audience, loyal listeners all over.
Wonderful. And then Madalena, Louise Atkins asks, well, first off, she says congratulations. And then she asks, how many listeners do you have? And could you please tell us a story of an individual listener who has inspired you? And who is that and why? And just for context, Louise is the daughter of George Atkins. So nice to know.
Great. Thank you first for the word once again. And Radio Money Kenya is under the Catholic Diocese of Nakuru, and it covers 2 counties, of which we do have the radio listeners, and also we have the online listeners. We also have the social platform medias, and we actually right now even doing this year's audience research. And so far, so good. Approximately, we can say we are at least reaching over 5,000 people in our show and in our daily programs, probably 600,000 for all programs at large. So it covers a larger area, which is so impactful, and on which story, or rather which farmer inspired me. Last year, as I said earlier, we actually, in the program, the hero farmer, we call it Mkulima Shujaa in Swahili, we started with a topic on poultry farming. And immediately after, before even completing the topic as whole, we got some few calls of which we had to follow up to make sure that, is it true what they're saying? Because this guy told us that he actually wanted to start this project of poultry farming, but he didn't have the skills. And maybe he also told us he had started earlier, but because of maybe the diseases and all that, he never knew how to treat these hens and chickens. And so we have really inspired him. We went on the ground, and now he's actually rearing 200 more than 200 hens. So it was so it feels so good when you do something and on the ground it makes a positive impact. So we are so happy, and I'm so proud of this program. And also thank you to Radio Money for giving me the platform. We believe that this is just one person out of many that called us, but because of maybe transport issues and all that, we couldn't follow up to all of them. But actually the feedback was so great.
Thanks so much. So we've had a lot of really good questions, and I have one last question that I'll actually pose to you, Madalena, again. But perhaps the Show I'll also respond a little bit to this. But so Thomas, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your last name. It asks, in Ontario, which is a province in Canada, farmers have found problems with selling their animals and their produce because of COVID-related shutdowns of processing plants and of transportation. And has this happened in Africa as well? So what is the situation for those types of farmers? You're just on mute, Madalena.
For us in Kenya, it has actually also affected us. And even before Corona, like the infrastructure in Kenya at the rural areas is so bad. So even transporting these cattle to the marketplace and all that, it has been a challenge, a big challenge to the farmers. Now, plus the COVID-19, it was actually so hectic because we were introduced the lockdown thing, and even the marketers of places where at least these farmers were going to sell their cattle, some of them were closed, people were home, and it was such a difficult challenge. But on their side, some of them gave up and they had to even celebrate with those cattle, like they kill them and do some nyama choma. We call it nyama choma in Kenya. So it's actually a big challenge, but at least now that the lockdowns are over and things at least are going back to normal, I believe everything shall be okay. But also it's a big challenge on the marketing strategies. Most of the rural area farmers lack the knowledge of the digital marketing, the online marketing. So we're trying to give them the information and even trying to make them adapt in these changes of the technology so that they may gain the profits after working out on all those projects. So that's what we've gone through in Kenya.
Great. Thank you, and thank you for all of your work. And I'll actually just pose a similar question to Nana Afa that hopefully you can answer quickly because we are running out of time. But the team at the She Show, how has the pandemic affected women in your area?
Okay. Well, in Ghana, people are aware of what's happening. We are trying their very best to our various home times, the Muslims, to make sure they are washing their hands. Right now in Ghana, when we go to most of our communities, realize that they have the small buckets and basins out there, ready soap and tissues for people who come in and out to be able to sanitize, to wash their hands properly and all that. And in Ghana, we are very, very conversant with our health. So as mothers and as women, we are trying our best to really keep our homes from coming away from our homes. So we are, doing a lot of the herbal mixtures at home, trying to boil a lot, give to children, husbands, and all, so that all can stay safe. It hasn't been easy, but we are really trying. And our men are also towing our line. No matter what they are told, they try to tow the line and try to stay safe. So that is really actually going on and how we are combating the COVID-19 disease here.
Thank you so much. So thank you to all of our broadcasters for able to join us today. And I'll just pass the mic back to Kevin, who will close our event. So thank you, everyone.
Well, thank you very much to Nana Efa Obeng and Consuela Kabute, Angor, and Madalena Nkarema for phenomenal and important radio programming and for being part of this conversation. I'd like to thank the judges for the Liz Hughes Award, Rita Hukayam from Global Affairs Canada, Christina Monsieur and Eliane Nadros, from FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization's Demetra Clubs, Precious Naturinda from Uganda Community Green Radio, a previous winner who joined the judging panel this year. Likewise, Brenda Mugwasage from Voice of Kageza, Jean Didier Nakulma from who is Farm Radio's gender specialist based in Burkina Faso. Thanks to CBC and Farm Radio board member Nora Young, former CBC member Doug Rushton, and of course, special thanks to Lloyd Robertson, Nora Young, Doug Rushton, for helping make this a time to reflect on the importance of excellent radio programming and its ability to improve millions of lives. Big thank you also out to the staff, Farm Radio International staff who helped make this happen. Kara Sprickerhoff, who's been a fantastic MC, Katie Burnham, VJ Cutterford, and Mark Leclerc. As I mentioned in the beginning, the supporters of Farm Radio International, the donors, have played a critical role in allowing us to quickly create emergency resources about COVID-19 last spring. We were able to keep our staff, broadcasters, and their audiences safe while we continued our programming at a distance. Broadcasters were able to receive and discuss information on social media platforms about the virus, helping them distinguish between misinformation, myths, and the facts. So let me thank all of you again and hope that you consider continuing to be part of Farm Radio as a supporter. We need the support now as much as ever. And just a reminder, farmradio.org, donate if you're able to support us again now. So let me just close by thanking everyone for attending this celebration and wishing you a wonderful weekend. And those of you in Canada, happy Family Day on Monday. Thank you very much and have a good day.